Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents My Soul's Reflection by Ashleynicole, narrated by Crisden and Elyce Anthony. 1. Mirror. I took a deep breath of hot, humid Caribbean air as I exited the airport. I was looking forward to the next 2 weeks of complete freedom, as well as the handful of cousins awaiting my arrival at the hotel. We decided to start an annual cousins trip early in the year. Whoever could come would. It'd be spread out over 2 weeks, and cousins would be arriving and leaving throughout to accommodate. We would all be there for at least 3 days collectively. I was taking the full 2 weeks. One and Lee were coming in on day 5 and staying until day 9. They were both in relationships and wanted to get some vacation time with their ladies. One and Sage had been an item for 3 years now, so I was used to the trio being broken up. Lee was coming up on a year with his lady, Nora. They'd hated each other for a few months before they got it together, and now they were inseparable. Our parents made the big move from Nevada back home to Connecticut in January. One was the first to follow. It was easy for him since Sage was from there. I followed a few months later. There was no lady in my life. My only anchor was our business. Lee had yet to fully make the transition because of Nora. He was splitting his time between coasts, but was looking to make the move soon. The company Nora worked for was opening an office in New York, and she was lobbying to head it up. I'd been in Vegas handling contract negotiations for the last 3 weeks, so I was arriving separately from the first wave of Masons. I walked over to the tall, thin driver in the aviator shades, black slacks, and white polo holding the sign bearing my last name. "Oh, another one!" he exclaimed excitedly in his thick Caribbean lilt. I didn't have to wonder what he meant. "I picked up all your cousins." He laughed hard, shaking his head. "Big family!" "Yeah, there are a lot of us. You haven't even seen half of us." "Oh, my!" He continued to laugh as he removed my luggage from my hand and lifted it into the trunk before hurrying around to open my door. "Big grocery bill, eh?" "Humongous," I told him as I dropped into the back seat of the black minivan, immediately relishing the Arctic-like air rushing from the vents over my head. Just from being out there for barely 2 minutes, I was sweating like a pig. As the driver rounded the car and opened his door to climb in, I reached up to adjust the vent above to blow directly on my face. I settled into the seat with my gaze out of the window. He pulled away from the curb slowly, trying to merge into the heavy throng of traffic in front of the airport. I caught sight of a woman who looked totally out of place. She was buttoned up in a cropped pantsuit with her hair pulled back in a severe ponytail, looking like she was in the last place she wanted to be. Pouty lips twisted to the side in irritation as she scanned the area, probably waiting for her ride. Maybe she's here for work, I surmised, dismissing all thoughts of her as we continued on the street. She wasn't my problem. Truth be told, I didn't have any problems. Life was great from where I was standing. My family was healthy and vibrant. My business was beyond successful. I got ass when I wanted without emotional entanglements. Now here I was about to take 2 weeks off and enjoy this tropical island. Like I said, not one problem. After the trip, I was going back to Connecticut with the rest of the family. My feet would be on the ground for a while after this, at least until the family reunion in September unless something came up. This year we would be going down to New Orleans. That would be a good trip, too. Had to get through this one first, though. We bought out a good chunk of the hotel for the trip. Lee and One would share with me while they were there, which was fine. We'd practically lived together all of our lives. We still had the property we shared in Nevada, but in Connecticut we lived separately. One and Sage had just purchased the property. I was renting, and Lee would generally stay with me when he was in town. I wasn't ready for anything permanent, even a house. I took note of the scenery as it whizzed by. Roundabouts, lush green foliage, fruit trees, and sun. Eventually we began driving parallel to the turquoise blue ocean. I planned to spend the majority of my time right in that body of water. Not today, though. After a long day of travel, all I wanted to do was grab a drink and cool out in my air-conditioned room. As far as I knew, we didn't have anything planned for the day. We would all get up for breakfast and figure things out the next morning. A little while later, the Sprinter pulled up in front of a towering structure, framed by palm trees with a tall fountain stuck in the center of the roundabout driveway. Check-in was painless. Less than 10 minutes after stepping from the vehicle, I was waving my wrist in front of the room door to unlock it with the silver bracelet I'd been told not to lose. I pushed the door open and gratefully sucked in a deep breath of cold air. I'd asked that the room's air conditioning be set to the lowest setting for my arrival. They'd listened. It was so cold that I had to go and turn it up some. I stripped down and made a beeline for the bathroom. Between the long flight and the short time and the thick heat, I needed a shower. Stepping under the lukewarm spray as the heavy streams beat down on my shoulders, I washed up quickly, then stood there, lost in the water, until a heavy banging out in the room got my attention. "Hold up," I called as I stepped out, wrapping a large towel firmly around my waist and strolling towards the door. I knew I had to be related to whoever it was. There was no way a hotel employee would be banging on my shit like that. "What the fuck?" I grumbled as I pulled the door open to see both of my brothers on the other side, one holding a bag and the other empty-handed. "Move!" One pushed me aside as they stepped in, leaving me to shut the door behind them. "The hell y'all doing here?" "Vacation, duh." Lee rolled his eyes and stretched out on my bed. "You're not supposed to be here for another 4 days, dipshit." "We missed you." One shrugged, dropping down onto a sofa across the room. "Where's your bag?" I asked Lee as I went to search for a pair of boxers in my luggage. "Nora's here," he informed me. "She can only stay for 3 days, so I'll be with her until then. Then I'm all yours." "I don't want you." "You know you missed us," one challenged. We hadn't all been together in over a month because of our schedules. One of us was always flying out. "Where's your ball and chain?" "Covering some photo shoot in L.A. "I'm guessing she'll be here this week, too?" "Not here. I adjusted my schedule. I'll be here for 5 days, then she and I will be heading down to Bonaire." "Cool." I stepped into the bathroom to slip into my boxers and shorts and slap on some lotion. "Who's all here?" "Just a dozen right now," one supplied, pushing off the chair. "You done with the bathroom? Trying to shower?" "I'm done," I told him as I stepped out with my things in my arms. Was anticipating enjoying my room alone for a few days. "Glad we caught you before you slapped it all over the room." "I wasn't slapping shit," I grumbled as I tossed my dirty clothes in the closet. "Oh, we know," Lee retorted, cackling. "Your dry-ass personality is testament to a lack of slappage in your life." "Go to your room." "No, Dad." "Anyway, is anybody on this floor?" "Seth and Royce are across the hall," Lee supplied, sounding like he was drifting off. "Nigga," I lifted a foot to kick one of his legs. "Get the fuck out. You have a room." "You didn't know that until I told you." "Go in the other room now." There was a connecting room in the suite with 2 full-sized beds where they were supposed to be. "You go in there." "Khalil, I'm gonna roll your big ass on the floor." He stood from the bed and glared at me before ambling over to the couch that one had just vacated to go shower and drop down. "Why are you here if your woman is here?" "She's on a conference call," he yawned. "And what does that have to do with you?" "Karan, shut the fuck up. When she leaves, I'm going to be in here, so get used to it right now as I take a nap." I wanted to go and drag his ass out into the hallway, but he was right. I tossed a pillow from the bed his way and wasn't surprised when he grabbed it and tossed it to the floor before climbing down there himself. I laid down in the bed and shuffled to get comfortable. One came out of the bathroom a little while later, snatched a pillow from the bed, and followed suit with Lee. We were all awakened sometime later by our phones going off. It was a text in the family group telling everybody to meet up at 11 at a beach bar. I tossed the phone aside and rolled right back over. I woke up to one going into the bathroom around 10:30 that night. Lee wasn't there at all. I pulled myself into a sitting position, then swung my legs over the side of the bed and sat for a few moments to gain some bearings. I would have preferred to sleep through and just see everybody the next day, but if one was going, he wasn't going to leave me in the room. As grown as we were, and regardless of who was in a relationship, we were still triplets. It was still super imperative that we kept our bond as brothers. This meant that any time we could spend together, we did. So after having been separate in whatever variation over the last few weeks, I'd suck it up and go hang out. He came out of the bathroom a minute later, pausing to stretch in the doorway. "Oh, good. I was going to kick the shit out of the bed if you weren't up." My response was a stiff middle finger. "Come on, man. Get your slow ass up." "We not three no more, Caden. You can't steal my blanket and make me stay up with you," I joked. He was notorious for that when we were kids. He really took that being the oldest shit to heart. If one wanted us all to do something, we were supposed to listen because he was the big brother. I tried that shit with Lee, and it did not work. That fool was just hard-headed. "I bet you I snatch all of those covers off that bed and run out the room, you'll follow." I sucked my teeth. "Fuck you." He was right. I stood up, taking a second to stretch the kinks out of my tired frame. 10 minutes, I told him as I ambled to the bathroom. "All right, I'm going to go call Sage. I'll meet you by the elevators." I didn't reply, just shut the door firmly behind me. I knew not to take longer than 10 minutes, though. I handled my business, rinsed my mouth, and washed my face before exiting the bathroom to search my bag for a shirt and some slides. I made it to the elevator with a minute to spare. He was ending the call with Sage as I approached. "Wasn't actually expecting you to come," he murmured after sliding the phone into the pocket of his shorts and reaching out to push the elevator call button. "You wouldn't have let me rest." "I meant on the vacation." He bumped me with his shoulder. "Thought you were lying and was going to just go back home." "I thought about it," I told him as I watched the light move through the numbers indicating the elevator rising. "I'm sure you did. Man, you really have to stop being such a curmudgeon." "Why is that?" I allowed him to step on the car first when it arrived, then trailed him inside. He sucked his teeth. "For real, dude, there's more to life than working and frowning." "I sleep, too." The door slid shut and the car began its descent. "Karan." I mimicked his tone. "Caden." "You gotta find some enjoyment in life, bro. Just because you and Sage are on y'all's leave it to beaver shit don't mean that's right for everybody, one." "I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying you need to find some joy in life. That's it." "I have some." "What is it?" he challenged. "Pornhub," I retorted as the elevator doors slid open. He sucked his teeth again and shook his head. He must have decided to drop it because he didn't say anything else the entire walk to the beach. Of course, when we reached the bar, it was filled with faces that resembled ours. By the looks of it, more had arrived. I saw a few more cousins than the Dirty Dozen. Roderick, Travis, and Blink were there as well, along with the two oldest cousins, Simeon and Will. It took a few minutes to get the greetings out of the way, but eventually I ended up at the end of the bar with Sherrod, Sim, and Will, and a drink in my hand. "You in pain yet, bro?" Sim directed my way, a knowing smirk pulling at his lips. "Nah, man. I don't anticipate being in any pain either. I'll be here the entire 2 weeks." "Oh, word? Just gonna force some fun on yourself?" "Pretty much," I said before taking a pull from my drink, enjoying the cool burn as it slid down my throat. The sun had gone down, but the heat was working overtime. "It's your turn anyway," Sherrod told me. "Lee and One have been taking vacations left and right." "Word." "You'll be alone after day 10, I believe. We'll all be cleared out by then." "I'll find something to do," I shrugged. "I'm sure you will. Even with all of us here, the number of ladies outnumbers us." "Shit, as we were walking down here, we walked by a group almost as big as ours," Sherrod told me as he scanned the area. "Sure did. One of them gonna say, 'Look at that dick stampede.' I felt objectified." Will joked. We busted out laughing. "I guess we know how women feel then." "I ain't never catcalled a woman," Sim made clear, "because we've been getting catcalled our entire lives." "I'm still recovering from Rod's kickback last summer." "Oh, hell yeah," we all agreed. Roderick threw a pool party the previous summer, and the ladies were anything but subtle. "Steele is still in therapy from old girl grabbing his shit." We cracked up again. "How we doing shit this week?" I asked. Simeon sighed. "Your guess is as good as mine. They gave me an activity booklet when I checked in. We could rent a bus once everybody gets here." "Same as usual," I murmured, peering around the area. There were a lot more women at the bar than when we arrived. "We're about to get mobbed," Sherrod noted. "Hell yeah." I motioned to the bartender for another drink as I looked around, trying to find an easy escape route. "Where the hell is Taylor when you need her?" Sim joked. "Word. When is she coming in?" "Tomorrow." I nodded to the bartender after receiving my drink. "Well, somebody is going to have to be sacrificed, and I would prefer it not be me. Let's skate before the others do." "Let's roll."
2. Irilin. "What is it?" I asked irritably when my sister came barging into my hotel room. "You're here. Duh." She held up a white plastic bag as if that was supposed to explain anything. "Excuse me?" I didn't bother looking up from my spot in the center of the bed with the laptop on my lap and the TV on mute. "I am not about to let you traipse all over this island looking like you're on the way to a board meeting. That slicked back, tight-ass bun has to go." "What the hell are you talking about?" I absently reached up to smooth back said tight-ass bun. "I bought you vacation weave, Irie. I'm about to have you looking like a hot mommy down here." "You're not a hairstylist." "Yet my hair stays beat to the gods." "I'll pass. I wasn't asking for your permission." "Nolly, I'm in the middle of something." I finally glared up at her. "You can finish." I was yanked from the bed and hauled into a chair that she'd pulled from the desk across the room to right in the center of the floor. "Analia!" I hissed, scrambling to keep my laptop from plummeting to the floor. That was probably her intention. Yeah, go back to your work. I know your hair is clean." "Nolly, I don't care." She spoke over me. "I'm doing your hair. You're going to look amazing." I huffed, but went back to my work. If she'd leave me alone, she could do what she wanted. If I didn't like it, I'd smooth it back into a ponytail just like I did my own. "You want to see the hair?" "If you're forcing me to let you do my hair, why would seeing the hair matter?" "Correct as always," she sang as she rummaged through the bag of hair. "Anyway, I got you a nice deep wave. If it gets wet, it'll be easy to work with. Perfect island hair." "How much was the hair?" "Don't worry about it." "Tell me or I'll Google and give you whatever price I find." "Google this. Cheap acrylic hair." "I know that's not what you're about to put in my hair. You don't do cheap," I reminded her. "You actively avoid cheap." "And who taught me that?" She tossed back with accusation. "Mommy," I lied, causing both of us to giggle. Our mother was a penny pincher. Name brand was not an option, and sometimes store brand wasn't either. Our father made a decent living as a chef, but she acted as if we were living hand to mouth. It got so bad that he filed for divorce after a big blow-up about buying a house. She worked part-time as a music teacher, so there was a second income. She just didn't like spending money. I think she wanted to teach us good money managing skills, but it turned into an obsession and backfired. As a result, both Analia and I were brand whores and didn't buy off-brand. It drove my mother crazy, but it wasn't her money anymore. Whenever she came over to visit, she'd shake her head anytime she came across a name brand product on a shelf or in a cabinet she had no business going in. "Nah, that doesn't sound right at all," she murmured as she parted my hair into sections, then used a clip to hold the hair she didn't need out of the way. "I distinctly remember Irilin Maxwell being the one to show me the world of name brand products." "Somebody had to teach you." I allowed her to tilt my head slightly to the right as she gripped the hair and began braiding. "Exactly. So, once again, how much for the hair?" "300, she balked. I sent the money back to her, ignoring her grumbles. I wedged the phone beneath my thigh on the chair and went back to the report on my computer screen. "You better not have me looking like a hooker." "It would be an improvement from the church secretary you like to look like." "Did you berate me to come on this trip to insult me?" "No, I berated you so you could get some air. You're going to work yourself into an early grave. Irie, you're working right now. 2 weeks is a long time to be out of work, Nolly. As you're perfectly demonstrating right now, you're not going to be out of work for 2 weeks. I need to know what's going on at the office, Nolly. If you died tomorrow, they'd replace you by the end of the week, Irilin. Unplug and enjoy your time off. Ouch! Damn it, I yelped as she began braiding tighter. Don't braid my brain, Analia. You weren't listening. Yes, I was. You said unplug. Yet the laptop is still on. Oh my God. When is Tanisha getting here? I grumbled, asking about her best friend, who was supposed to be on the trip with us. I expected her to be on a plane that morning, but she wasn't. In 2 days. She had a project to finish before they let her off. Oh, okay. I certainly understood that. I was praying the entire week leading up to this trip that something fell into my lap. So, what did you see on your touring expedition earlier? I came straight to the room for a call when we arrived. She went to hers, dropped her things off, and went to explore the resort. She thought I was coming with her, but no. Girl, she exclaimed, halting her fingers in my hair, there is an entire family of sex gods at this resort, and I'm going to fuck the shit out of one of them. Maybe all of them. Depends on their marital situation. I don't care about girlfriends. That shit is fleeting. Oh, please. I'm serious, Irie. A bunch of men who defy what I thought gorgeous was before I got here. How many? I figured I'd humor her to pass the time. At least a football team roster's worth, she exaggerated. You're going to need a lot of lube, don't you think? I sighed as I glanced back towards the bed. I need those papers. No, you don't. Analia, if you don't give them to me, I'll get them myself, and you can go find a doll to play with. Crotchety ass heifer, she mumbled as she stalked over to the bed to grab the stack of papers and bring it back over to me. Thank you. And no, I don't need lube, she told me, picking the conversation back up. My coochie stays hydrated. Sounds like a breeding ground for bacteria. I raised a finger. Is that why your panties are crunchy when you take them off? Ouch! I cried as she pulled my hair tightly once again. Fuck you, heifer. My draws don't be crunchy. Sounds like they're stuffed with old, dry leaves at the end of the day. And yours is full of powder where your dry ass puss is crumbling. I couldn't help but laugh. Touché. Anyway, maybe if you can keep your flat face out of the computer screen, you could catch one. No, thank you. I don't have time. We're on vacation, she interjected angrily. You have loads of time. 2 weeks worth. I purposely didn't pre-reserve anything. Analia, I groaned. Do you know how much time we're going to waste? None, her voice boomed. We don't have any deadlines, Irilin. Calm your dry-ass booty down. Anyway, I insisted, do you have any brochures? Nope. We'll figure it out. Analia, you know I hate everything, Irilin. You hate everything. I don't hate everything. Name one thing you don't hate. Structure. Jesus. There really isn't any hope for you. She pushed out a breath of resignation. Might as well just go back home. Your flight can be changed. She released the hair she was braiding and began undoing it. I'm not about to spend these next few days fighting with you or trying to convince you to come and enjoy the island. Go home. I sucked my teeth inside. Fine. No. She quickly undid the first braid as well. That's not what I want. and being here clearly isn't what you want.
So change your flight so you can go back home to your structure. She grabbed the bag of hair from the floor and left the room, ignoring me when I called for her to stop.
Damn it. I hurried from the chair, making sure to grab my room key from the table by the door before dashing out into the hallway to catch her. Nolly, I called as she stepped on the elevator. I had to catch her. I didn't know what room she was in, so if she disappeared, that was it. I made it to the elevator in time to stick my hand in between the closing doors to halt it. It's fine, Irie. She wouldn't look at me. No, Nolly, I'm sorry. I'll stay and try to enjoy myself. Wow.
Her eyes got wide before she rolled them away.
You'll try. It's just, this isn't my thing, I explained. I'll try. I won't go out of my way to not enjoy it. How about that? Her chest lifted as she inhaled and let it back out harshly. I don't really have a choice but to accept it. Her back came off the elevator panel, and she came towards me, purposely bumping into me as she exited the elevator. Let's go. You're coming to the bar with me when I'm done, and I don't give a shit how you feel about it. I didn't let her see me roll my eyes, but I rolled those bitches around my whole damn eye socket. I really didn't want to be on this vacation, but I'd disappointed her one too many times over the years.
I always backed out of things she planned. Usually, I didn't even buy a ticket.
So I knew that this time I was locked in. Only God knew the next time I'd agreed, though. Especially if the trip started with a guilt trip. 3. Irilin. I found myself alone at breakfast a few days later. Nolly and Tanisha spent the night out partying and planned to sleep in. Well, this was my third day spending breakfast alone of the 5 we'd been on the island. And I wasn't complaining. I enjoyed the quiet. This morning, I brought my laptop down to look over a few reports from work. This was also my people-watching time.
People in this instance being the big, obviously related, group of men that filed in every morning.
I didn't care for relationships or any kind of arrangement, but it didn't hurt to look and appreciate, and I definitely appreciated looking at them. There was one in particular who piqued my interest. He usually arrived first with the newspaper and picked a table for the rest. We kind of developed a routine. I got there first and set myself up. Then a minute or so later, he'd waltz in quietly, offering me a half smile and greeting before picking a table right across from mine. He'd drop into a chair facing me and give me a slow once-over before taking up the newspaper, shaking it open, and leaning back to read until his family arrived. He was flirting, but just barely. Then moments later, it was like a deluge of beautiful black men rolled in as the rest arrived in small groups. Initially, I'd been worried I'd have to ward off cat calls and unwanted conversations. But none of that happened. Those who noticed me would offer big smiles and good morning greetings and never look my way again. It was kind of refreshing. After a while, I'd just return my attention to my breakfast and tune them out. This morning, he was a little late, but still offered my smirk in the weighty perusal. My food was arriving before I realized nobody else was showing up. I fell into my work and didn't notice him getting up to leave. Have a good day. His deep voice startled me as he strolled by, headed for the exit. You too, I barely managed, pressing a hand over my racing heart. Scared the hell out of me, I murmured as I tucked back into my laptop. Should have known.
Analia's voice startled me sometime later.
Oh, wow.
Was it?
Sample complete. Ready to continue?